are our strength. You are our shield. You are our redeemer.
Je te souhaite la bienvenue, Mimi. J'espère que tu vas bien. Alors, we are really sorry for our time. Nous sommes vraiment désolés pour l'air. On s'est trompé sur l'air, mais c'est pas grave. On s'est trompé parce que normalement, il n'est pas encore 14 heures chez lui. Donc voilà. Really sorry. It's not yet 2 p.m. It's not yet 2 p.m. Really sorry. Really sorry. Really sorry.
Hello? Hey, sir.
Thank you for loving me, Jesus. Thank you for seeing above me, Jesus. I was sinking way down deep in sin, but He didn't leave me there. He can't answer me. He can't answer me in the fullness of the grace. Thank you for your power, Jesus. All right. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Oscar Williams Jr. I think a lot of
That's my pleasure.
All right, let me use my headset right now. Let me use my headset right now.
Can you hear me?
All right. Yeah, I can hear you right now. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you
That's
very,
my
very
pleasure.
much. Thank you very, very much. And I'm really sorry for the time. So what time it is? And what city are you in?
Yeah, so right now it's about 1:34 right now.
Okay. All right. So first of all, I'd like to tell you that there's a sister who is wishing you welcome in French. So if you
Okay,
can
I see that. I don't tell me how to respond in French. All I can say is oui.
merci. Merci
Merci.
meaning thank
Okay,
you very much. Yeah.
merci.
That meaning
Merci
thank you.
beaucoup. Yeah, I do know merci beaucoup. I do know that one.
All right. So Laurent, thank you for joining us. All right. Thank you very, very much for joining us, Dr. Oscar Williams. We are really happy for accepting the invitation to be on this platform. All right.
No problem.
So yeah, I would like you to tell us about who is Dr. Oscar Williams.
Who is Dr. Oscar Williams? He is just a regular born again believer in Jesus Christ. He is a musician and author and playwright and teacher, educator. He is someone that loves God's people and loves to equip God's people with the things that they need to better themselves and better their life. He is someone who appreciates all mankind and tries not to be judgmental against anyone. He is someone who understands that if it wasn't for the grace of God, he would be nothing, and he is nothing without the grace of God on his life. And he is someone that appreciates connecting with people of all walks of life in every part of this world, whether it is Australia to Africa to Asia to Alabama. That's who he is.
Oh, well, so like I've been reading a lot about your background and everything and the things you do. I've been following you also on social media platforms, and I can see that you have a very a very clean spirit. You go to Africa. You have been doing a lot. So I will not waste much time. I will not be asking a lot of questions. I prefer listening more to where you started from, the things that motivated you to do all that you have been doing. So first of
Okay.
all, yeah. So first of all, why did you choose to do bachelor in arts Bachelor of Arts in Music.
Oh, you have done your homework. So, yeah, so, my background, well, music has always been a passion of mine. Music was always, it was a part of my journey. And I am a strong proponent of education. I believe that education allows us to make better choices and decisions, and it gives us options. And so my parents taught me very early on that having options in life is important, that never limit yourself to just one category or one thing or be one thing, but give yourself as much options in this life. And it's also very spiritual, it's very biblical. Jesus gave talents. He gave talents to 3 people. And he gave them in 3 different dispensations, 1, 5, and 10. And the object of the talents is he never told them what to do with it, but he expected, in the analogy or in the parable, the good master expected an increase when he returned. And so I liken that to our lives, that God has given us all talents. To some, he's given a lot, to some, he's given a few. But it's not about the amount of talent that he's given you. It's about what you do with it. And it's our job here on earth to make sure that we utilize and invest in those talents. So going to school was my investment into the talent I feel like God gave me, to get a Bachelor of Arts in Music with an emphasis in piano, because I knew the piano music was going to be my gateway into the world. I knew that some kind of way I was going to use music. God was going to use music as an introduction to the world to me. And that's what happened.
All right. Thank you very much. So why not secular music? Why not any other music than gospel?
Yeah, why not secular music? I don't think anything is wrong with secular music. I don't have a problem with secular music. Secular music is not a default for me. My default is, my lyrics, my melody are inspired by my love for Christ. Now, it doesn't mean that I can't write a love song and haven't wrote a love song. It doesn't mean that I can't write about other things. And I think there's a place for that. It's just not a passion of mine. It's not a passion of mine to use that gifting in that way. So that's really it in a nutshell.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much for your answer. So, what do you do when you tour around? What do you do? Because it's been 2 decades that you've been touring around, producing and performing. So what is it about?
So my touring around, really, my trajectory took a different route. So, when I first started, I wanted to be an artist, a gospel artist. I wanted to be Kirk Franklin. I wanted to be, Sinach, one of those, just everybody, the whole world just knows them and loves them.
Yeah.
And I had to understand that everybody's gifting is different, and God calls people to certain places. And you have to learn how to be comfortable with where God has called you to. You have to learn how to accept the assignment of God and work and invest in that assignment, and not spend your time envying or looking at somebody else's assignment and wishing that was yours, because that's a waste of time. And to waste time is a slap in God's face to the time that he gives us. And so when I stop wasting time and stop insulting God, thinking that what my limited view of life could be, and trying to do things that I thought were best, instead of focusing on God, what and who are you calling me to? When I stopped doing that and started focusing on my assignment and who it is that he was calling me to, I found the fulfillment and I found the audience. And so mine is an international audience. I've gone from, Thailand to Venezuela, to Argentina, to Liberia, to Romania, like all over the world. And when I go, I am commissioned by the country that I live in, United States of America, to be a cultural ambassador, music ambassador, and to educate people about gospel music. And not just educate them, but to perform it, to show them, to teach them, and to interact with them. And what I love about it is different from just going to a country and doing a concert. You know, I get to create great relationships, and I'm going back several times over, and I get to really talk to those within whatever country or region I'm going to and encourage them and help build them and help teach them and help. I'm working with some local artists in Liberia right now. They're creating a great platform to bring awareness to COVID-19. And so there's a huge music contest going on in Liberia right now with the local artist. And I'm serving as a mentor for that. And I love it because I get to interact and I get to develop relationships with them. And I can say I have friends all over this world. Literally, I can go on every continent on the face of this earth. I can step foot on, and I know somebody on every continent except Antarctica. You know, maybe God is going to take me there next, but I count that a privilege that God has allowed me to touch these different places and to use this gift that he gave me in order to spread his word in the way that I do it.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much. But you've not yet been in France.
I have.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Many years ago, I did Paris and I was in 2 places in France. I was with Liz McComb.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, this was many, many moons ago. Now I'm ready to come back to France. Me and my friend who's on here, Leon Timbo, we're going to come. Y'all invite us. Me and Leon will come to France. I love France.
There is a program in France that we organize. Maybe I will try and invite you.
Don't try. Let's not try. Let's move for time. Yeah, I would love. Yeah, I would love to come.
Yeah, it's called Stand Up for Christ. You can check that on the internet when we are done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can invite you for that. Yeah.
Okay, please do.
All right. I'll do that. So what is it about? Like you've been telling us about how you've been touring, and it seems like you does that almost every year. At least twice. You tour around the world, and like you said, I saw somebody writing that I'm watching from Liberia, meaning you have touched a lot of lives around the globe. What is your inspiration?
People are my inspiration. Yes, please come, France and pass. I will come to the UK too, and France. Now I haven't been to the UK. That's one of the places that I've wanted to go, but France I have been, and I want to come back. My inspiration is people. I love people. I absolutely love people. I am one of those that I've been called to people. I've been called to nurture, encourage. And so when I come, I bring everything with me. I have a group of great singers that come with me, and we come in, we do concerts. We do a lot of cultural exchange, which means getting with local musicians or choirs or groups, radio DJs, and we dialogue, we sit, we do music, we create, we write, we teach. I do mentorship sessions, teaching them how to expand their gift, to reach broader platforms, to navigate through social media and other different platforms, how to navigate their local systems together. I teach them about that. Then we do concerts. We do community concerts. We've done concerts in huge auditoriums. And it's for the community. We went to Haiti a few years back and did a concert, probably one of the big amphitheaters, which is outside, and it was about 3,000 people.
Wow.
And we invited local artists and choirs to come on. And be our opening act. It is a thing of cultural exchange. One of the biggest takeaways is that we try to show a different side of America to the world.
Of course.
That the media can show one thing, the media can tell you one thing, but we become representatives of, this great country to say, America loves other countries and we are a part of that fabric. And as a part of that fabric, here is gospel music is a part of the bedrock, the foundation of American culture. And we go and we share that, and we use it as a tool of communication. Part of my branding is called Speak Life. And Speak Life really is just centered around making great communication, taking your gifts, using music as a way to communicate, and always speaking positive versus speaking negative.
Wow. Wow. So from now to the next 5 years, where do you want to see the brand Oscar Williams?
Oh man, now to the next 5 years, absolutely. We would have expanded. Oscar Williams' Speak Life brand would really be diving into education and building educational centers and schools here in the United States. Oscar Williams' Speak Life, Band of Life will continue touring and establish, great partnerships with other countries, mentorship sessions where after we leave, we stay in touch and we mentor that next group of artists, musicians and singers and dancers to the next phase of their career. Oscar Williams and Speak Life will be in reality show and creating shows centered around creating music and the ups and the downs of trying to build a music career and what happens. Speak Life will also be producing touring shows. We're heavily into musical theater and plays and events. And so we're working through how do we start to build that and put those shows up where they travel. And, these are both inspirational shows and they're entertaining shows where they take relevant material, take Bible material and make it relevant to today's climate and add a comical flair to it. So that's where it is. That's the next 5 years, a busy 5 years.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I hope that we will definitely see dream come true. In the next 5 years, we'll be talking about all the achievements, on all the achievements. So, I mean, how is the pandemic going? How is the pandemic situation in where you live? Where do you live? What state are you?
I'm in Texas.
All right. So what is the pandemic situation over there?
Yeah, the pandemic, man, it's affecting all of us the same. It's how we respond to it that's different. All of us are affected by it. All of us, there are cases in every single country. Again, I haven't heard any cases in Antarctica. That's probably the only place we can go to be safe. But the rest of the world is feeling the effects of it. We all, in either a very direct way or indirect way, have found someone that has either been infected by the virus or succumbed to the virus. And again, whether it's a close family friend or someone that knows someone, so it's our response to it. So how am I responding to it? I am choosing to respond to it in such a way that I use this time to really, really build and focus and hear God and see God in the shifting. There is a shifting in the world that's happened. And if people miss that shifting, they will miss the opportunity to get on the next wave where God is. That in our lifetime, and we know that this hasn't happened. We have reports that the last time something of this nature happened was in 1918. So we're 100 years away from it. So in our lifetime, God allowed this shift to happen. And every shift either brings you closer to something or pulls you away from something. So what are we shifting to? Is this, a lot of people speculating and say, hey, this is ushering in, the Antichrist and the mark of the beast and all of that in the rapture, and that could be true. I don't know. All I do know is that
the conspiracy theories and all that.
Huh?
I said the conspiracy theories and all that.
Yeah, yeah, and some of it may be true. What I choose to focus on is the fact that the sovereign God that I serve saw this before I was born.
Of course.
And the sovereign God that I serve made a promise to me that all things work together for the good of them who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose.
Of course.
And the sovereign God that I serve owns the cattle of 1,000 hills. He is not lack concerning resources. And the sovereign God that I serve has a plan for me. And his plan for me is good and not of evil, to give me an expected end.
Amen.
And because all of that is true, my response in this time has to be, God, okay, let me go with your shift and let me do what I need to do to prepare. So I'm reading, I'm researching, I'm studying, I am building up, I am, making decisions that will reposition me in a better way. I am understanding that, just like with Noah, there was a shifting in Noah's time. The earth had never seen a flood like what came in Noah's time. And when the flood came, it literally shifted everything, because water is a shifter.
Of course.
And the people that were wise to take heed, even though they had never seen a flood like this, they had to be, Noah and his family had to be wise and trust God enough to say, if he says it's coming, I know it's coming, and I'm going to get on the boat, even though I've never seen this before. They did. We all know the story. But when the shift ended, Noah then had to replenish the earth with everything that was left. And that's the same thing that's happening this time. When this shift ends, and it will, this virus will not run rampant like it is now for forever. It's not designed to. No virus is designed to. It will be contained. God will allow the strength and the wisdom of people to figure out a way to either vaccinate it or to prevent it. And as time goes on, we will get better with it. So it will shift. But when that shift ends, the world will need to be replenished. And now you are the ark of God. We are his living vessels. So now, because we house the ark, what is it that he's put in you that needs to come out and replenish the earth? And so that's what I am looking. I'm looking within the ark of God inside of me. And I'm saying, God, whatever you got housed in me, when this shift ends and now the water rescinds and the earth is dry and it needs to now birth something, because that's what you place. Remember, his word says, as the earth remains, there will always be seed time and harvest. There will always be a time to plant and a time to harvest. And so now in a shifting, right now, when this shift ends, we will be in seed time. What seeds are there inside of you, inside of me, that we will have to plant into the earth for harvest to happen? And so that is how I am responding. Now, how others are responding, some people are responding with panic. For some people, it is really a tough time. They've never been isolated. They've never been locked down. They've never been told they can't go anywhere. Some people it is a fearful state, and it's a reality. Some people who had some sense of security, that security is leaving, and it's a tough time. And it's easy to say, trust God, when you are in a secure place, when you have a job, when you have money. Oh, just trust God. He gonna bring us out. Just trust God. But when your bank account is empty, when you don't have when you are hanging on by a thread and somebody is telling you trust God, it hits differently. And so I don't say all of that without the sensitivity to know that there are some people in some very dire situations where just hearing trust God is not enough salve for their wound. But what I can tell them is that this too, like everything else, will pass. And when it does pass, you have an opportunity to rebuild, because it'll be seed time again in the earth.
Amen. Amen. Of course. Thank you very much. So I have some very few questions for you from the people, from the audience, from the people who are watching. Now
Yeah.
I've been following you on social media, and I've seen you sharing food, face mask, and all that. Is this coming from the brand, your brand, or is this something that is coming from the church, or is from your
Oh,
own
just
initiative?
yeah, just I am promoting that people stay safe, stay safe, stay inside, and stay sane. And so I don't have any brand of mask. That's not my lane. I don't want to get into that. I'm not one that's just going to try to find something and start selling them. Mm-mm. But you can go buy them,
All
and if
right.
you can't go buy them, there are several different resource places in whatever country that you might be that you can reach out to and get. But what I am recommending is that everybody find a way to find a defense against what is coming against us. And what does that mean? Don't this is not a time for us to feel invincible. This is not a time for us to say, oh, God's going to take care of me. I'm good. Da, 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 da. This is a time for us to be smart and use wisdom. And it doesn't mean there's a lack of faith because you wear a mask or because you stay inside, or because you quarantine. That is not a lack of faith. That is the mark of wisdom. And it's saying, I liken it to when Jesus was tempted, when he was led into the wilderness to be tempted. And the second temptation, as recorded in Luke, the enemy tells Jesus, cast yourself down. Because his word says he'll give his angels charge over you, lest you cast your foot against the stone. And Jesus replies, it is written, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. And so what does that teach us, though? That teaches us that though Jesus could have used the word to do exactly what the enemy said, he opted not to do something because there was a clause that God would protect him. That's why tempt the Lord. If there is something I can do to prevent this from happening, why would I then challenge the Lord with something that I could have controlled myself? He could have thrown himself down, and the angels would have taken him up. But what would that have proven? It wouldn't have increased his faith. It wouldn't have proven that God, it would have tried God in a way that puts God on trial, like God is a man. And it's very interesting. Even as talking to you, the revelation just came to me because I was praying and I was saying sometimes we approach God through human eyes and we give him these human faculties and these human traits, and we say stuff like, he's an on-time God, or don't leave me, or he's never failed me yet. And though I understand those phrases, what we have to understand is that those characteristics, assigning those to God, he's an on-time God, as if whatever time he chooses to come would not be the right time. He's not an on-time God. He's a God that holds time in his hand. And whenever he decides to act, it's the right time. He never failed me yet. That's not an attribute that we should apply to God, because there is no failure in God. So to say he's never failed me yet means there is a possibility, or there's the slight chance that, that's like me saying, hey, you've been on target, you haven't messed up yet. Meaning, wow, like you have the capability to mess up. And so I say that in respect to that scripture, that when he says, do not tempt the Lord thy God, there's no need for me to put God on test.
Of course.
There's no need for me not to wear a mask and then to see if God is going to heal me or keep me from the virus. There's no need for me to do those type of things. Why? Because God is not on trial here. God's power, God's omniscience, God's omnipresence, God's strength, God's faithfulness is not on trial, and it never is. And so for me to act or respond in a way to tempt the Lord or to put God on trial as if he needs to prove himself in order to show me that his word is true is demonic almost. And so no, our response should be, you know what, God, I trust your word and I trust your wisdom. And I trust that you've given me a knowledge and understanding to help fight against whatever's coming my way. And if that means staying in the house, or if that means wearing a mask, or if that means staying 6 feet apart, or whatever that is that you've caused me to have a mental capacity to think through and do, I'm going to do that because I trust your wisdom.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So, what do you have to say about the pandemics and the churches right now? I don't know what do you go to church with Bishop T.D. Jakes?
Yes.
Oh, all right. All right. So, what do you have to say about the fact that now churches are closed and we cannot access churches anymore? And now Christians are supposed to be in the house, pray to their God in their own rooms, maybe have the opportunity to follow some online services. Do you think that our way of worshiping is gradually taking another dimension?
Yeah, absolutely. The church is not closed. The buildings are closed. The church is alive. We are the church. We are being the church right now. And so the church is now being forced to see God and see him only. The church is being forced to have a relationship with this God that for centuries we say that we love and we serve, but we've put up pillars and we put up people and we put up monuments and we put up idols that have gotten in the way of who we are to worship. And so now the church is being forced to strip down all the idols, whether it is the idol of tradition of you got to wear this to come to church. Well, that's not the case anymore. You don't have to wear nothing because you're in your house. Or we got to sing this song or we haven't had church. Well, that's not the case anymore because, you know, we're limited on what we can do musically. Or we got to have an offering plate, or we got to have communion every 3 weeks, or we have all of these things that we have created as roadblocks to having church have been stripped. And so now we are forced to re-examine the things that we thought we couldn't have church without. And now we're seeing how God is allowing us to understand that the church is inside of us. And where 2 or 3 are gathered together in his name, there he is in the mix. Where 2 or 3, all of us, me, you, and the 15 people that are on here, we are gathered together in his name, and he is with us now. He is not a God that has to be confined to a building. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth, not in church, not in a church building. The prerequisites for worship are in spirit and in truth, not an address. So because of that, the church is being the church people as we know it are being challenged to see God in a more truer fashion. And I love it. I love the fact that God is now causing us to, I think it's a weeding process.
Of course.
It is, if you say you love me, then seek me. Seek him while he may be found. That's what it is. And those that really want God are seeking him. And those that were caught up in the tradition of church or the tradition of men or the tradition of just going are finding it a hard time because their bodies were there, but their spirits were far from him.
Thank you.
So that's my take on it. Yes.
Thank you very much. So I would like to ask this question. What has been the most challenging part of your life as a Christian and in your career?
What's been the most challenging?
Yeah.
Wow. That's so many. Oh, I can't even begin to name. Challenging is, I think one of the most challenging things is just trusting God. And, I say that from a real place. Trusting God is is not the easiest thing to do. Trusting God in different areas of your life, whether it be career, whether it be personal, whether it be health, whether it be, trust lends itself to us having very little control over the unknown. And that's where fear comes from. Fear really comes from not knowing what is ahead. Not knowing what tomorrow is going to bring, not knowing if I get up in this plane, what's going to happen, and I can't control it. Fear comes from the lack of being able to control what is in front of you or what is ahead. And that's where trust, the only thing that combats fear is trust. If I'm riding in the car with you, I could have the fear, I could have anxiety because I've never rode in a car with you. I don't know if you can drive. I don't know if you know where you're going. And so fear creeps in as, the only thing that will squash that fear is, but I trust you. And I trust that you can drive. And I trust you know where you're going. And so I'm going to allow my trust to press down my fear. And now that's a difficult thing. And that's the same way it is with God. It is not that we don't know, that we don't believe that God can do what he says. It is, man, God, for this next phase of life, God, to heal my body, I got to trust you. God, to give me the career I need, or to bring me out of poverty, or God, to heal my family, or God, to help me with my business. I have to trust you. And it's not that I don't believe that you can do it. It's just that my trust level is low because I had to give up the control of not knowing how this is going to turn out. And even if it turns out in such a way that I didn't foresee, I have to trust that this was the way that was supposed to go. Even if I'm riding in the car with you and you turn down a street that I'm not familiar with and you start going down a path like, wait a minute, no, this is not the way I normally go. Like, where are you going? At that moment, fear creeps back in because, wait a minute, you've made a detour. I don't know, wait, this is not familiar. You made a detour. Am I going to be late? I got to get here. You're going to make me late. We're not going to show up. What if we get stopped? And all of these dynamics start to come in that keep me from trusting that even though you went a different route than what I thought you should have gone, even though I've never seen this route and never understood it, I have to trust that you okay. You must know something that I don't know.
Maybe.
And so if you chose to go this way, I got to sit back and trust that this is the best route to get me where I need to go on time. And that's kind of been my greatest challenge, just reminding myself at every stage of my life that, God, I've never seen this before. Like, this mountain is like, this is a detour. Like, God, where are we going? Like, what are we doing? Like, why are we going that way? Wait a minute, can't we go this way? Like, this is what I saw. This was the plan, or comparing our routes to somebody else's. God, my friend, you took them that way and it was easier. And it seemed like they got there and I'm going to be late. And by the time I get there, it's going to be over. And God, by the time I'm going to be too old. I'm too young. I'm too old. God, I don't have kids yet, God. I'm getting older, God. When are you going to make it happen, God? I'm 40, God. And God, I'm going to be too tired to do the work. And God, I missed the season. And all of these things as he still continues to drive. Now think about it. Wouldn't that be an annoying passenger? If you're driving and you know where you're going. And I'm sitting in the passenger seat saying, oh, where are you going? Oh my goodness, turn this way. No. And you're saying, but you've never even gone this way. You don't even know how to get there. Why do you keep trying to tell me where to go and how to go? And you've never been here. And I have. I've driven the route. You're saying to me, I mapped out the route. I put the route together. So I know where I'm going. You've never even seen the completion of this route, and yet you have not ceased to be fearful about my process to get you where you need to be. And even as I talk to you, I'm encouraging myself even the more. I have to keep reminding myself, he is a good father. He knows what he's doing. He knows where he's going. I don't. Oscar, shut up. Oscar, be still. Oscar, trust. It is difficult. It is hard. It is challenging. But you have to continue to remind yourself that this great God created this world. Surely he has enough wisdom and insight to make sure that his promises to you are kept true.
Thank you very much. This brings me to a sermon by Bishop T.B. Jakes, your father, and it was called Rerouting. I think you sang in the middle of the sermon. You came in with a song, and everybody danced to it. Yeah, rerouting, and it was about David going to bring back the Ark of Covenant, and Elam died because of that, and and he talked about rerouting and all that, and you came in the middle of the sermon to bring a song, and everybody danced to it, and I think that was the second time me seeing you. So for how long have you been with Bishop T.D. Jakes?
I've been at the church for 8 years, 8 going on 9 years.
All right. And how is it over there? How do you see Bishop?
Bishop
in one word.
I love my church, man. I love my pastor. I love my church. Being at the Potter's House is probably one of the greatest joys of my life. Learning and growing, being able to be mentored and taught by Bishop is probably one of the biggest things that has changed the trajectory of my life. And I encourage everybody to have a mentor, to have someone that can see farther than you can see, to have someone that can see you for who you are, not for who you propose to be, or not for the mask that you put on for other people, but somebody that can see you for who you are. To have someone that is able to speak to where you are and where you're going. And then finally, to have someone that you can see yourself in. You can see, man, like I see myself in everything that you do. Has been one of the most, probably to this point, the highlight of my life. To be able to serve in the capacity that I serve, to be able to serve in a leadership capacity, to be able to lead a group of musicians and singers and dancers and actors, musicians that are so talented and so greatly gifted. To be able to do that, and it's humbling. And to be able to reach millions of people around the world, to be able to impact them positively for the kingdom, is one of the things that I thank God for every day.
All right. Thank God for that. So, going on, like, what is your greatest fear as a Christian?
My greatest fear as a Christian. Man, I don't. That's an interesting question and a real question. I don't know if I've ever thought about what my greatest fear as a Christian is. I think it would be, if I were to be honest, for a long time, my greatest fear was, will I miss the mark? Will I miss God? And I don't have that fear anymore. I don't have a fear. No, I don't think I will ever pass through my own.
I was about to ask you. All right.
No, I think my greatest fear is not accomplishing all. This is my greatest fear, not accomplishing all that I need to accomplish because of me. I know Oscar, and I know Oscar can get in the way. Oscar lacks discipline in some areas. Oscar can be hard-headed. Oscar has, strong tendencies. Oscar can be distracted. Oscar As much as Oscar wants to be focused, Oscar can lack focus at times. Like I know all of that. And my greatest fear is that I will be the cause that I did not achieve the ultimate purpose of God in my life. That's my greatest fear.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. So now I'll go to the questions. Like I'll start from Larry Buffalo.
Okay.
He said, how do you see the place of God in your heart, of the world, and how is his effects in popular culture?
Wait, say that one more time. Ask that one more time.
How do you see the place of God in your heart, of the world, and how is his effect in popular culture?
If I can understand that question, how can the effect of God in my life? Yeah, I mean, my total being is because of God, and I don't, and I don't say that just to sound super spiritual. I really do understand that without God, my gifts and talents don't mean anything. And in reference to pop culture, I think it's always an interesting thing because God and pop culture, again, I think it's one of those things where we keep trying to pull God into, this human experience, so it's almost like, this is a weak analogy, but you're trying to bring your parents, and then have your parents participate in a conversation that you're having with your friends. Like your parents are, their maturity level there, and so when we talk about God and pop culture, God, inserting God into things that he's made doesn't make sense. God made our culture. And so what we as believers have to do is we have to make sure that we represent God in all our culture, whether it's pop culture, whether it is music, whether it is movies, TVs, or whatever. We have to represent God in all our cultures, and not try to insert him as if there is no place for him, or as if, hey, this is God over there and this is pop culture here. We're going to try to bring a little God. No, God is in everything. And so he should be able to rely on his people to be his representatives. So that is, if you're doing secular music, then God should be able to rely on you to represent him and his values.
So what is your strength as a gospel artist, pastor, producer? What is
my strength?
Yeah.
My strength, I don't know. My strength is, I think my strength is I'm a heart person. So I'm able to just, find and connect with people and their heart. That's my strength. Like I love people. So in loving people, my brother's on here. What's up, Jones Maestro? It's my brother.
All right, Jones, what's up?
Jamar. Yeah, brother Jamar. My strength is I just love people and able to connect with people. And so I feel like even when I travel internationally, one of the reasons I've been able to do it for, almost 20 years is because no matter if the people speak the same language, I'm able to find a way to connect to them, and find a way to appreciate another culture or another person or something that, you bring to the table, even if you don't look like me, sound like me, believe like I believe, any of that. So I think that's the greatest strength of connection, knowing how to connect, knowing how to stay connected, and knowing how to make that connection true and real.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In what you do, normally you might need a team which you will have to work with. So what is your take on teamwork? Because there are times people find it very difficult to work with a team, especially in the churches. Everybody wants to be the face. Nobody wants to support. So
True.
What do you make of teamwork?
True. That's a great question. Teamwork is everything. Like I have a great team, but if you don't value a team, if you don't value the strength of your team, if you don't work to build up the strength of your team, you'll be a one-man army or one-woman army fighting by yourself. And there are some battles that you can't win if it's just you. You need a strong team, and you can't build a team just in the face of a battle. You have to build a team when there is no battle. You have to learn the strength of your team when there is no war. And so when you get into the war, that means you can trust that they'll have your back, because you all's bond was not built under tension or pressure. Because people tend to respond differently under tension. They respond differently under pressure. And if you have not learned the trigger points of your team members and how they respond to certain things, you might be a casualty when you didn't have to be a casualty. You all might kill each other because you never learned your responses under a pressurized moment. And so my suggestion for building the team is always find ways to connect, to find the commonalities, and then really, really search. I'm writing a book called 10 Things Every Young Leader Should Know. And part of that is...
What is the title of the book?
The title of it is 10 Things Every Young Leader Should Know.
Every young leader should know.
And it's not even about, so there are finding the commonalities, but part of what I say to people is really try to expose your differences, because it's the differences between the team members that you find where your strengths lie and the areas where you need to focus on and work. If you and I are working together and I recognize, you know what, we are different. You are night and I'm day. You work better at night, I work better in the day. That's a difference. That's not a commonality. Now I can then say, so because of that, I know that, to give you the phones, to answer the phones at night, and I'll answer the phones in the day, and our business is covered. If I didn't expose that, I only found our commonalities, and I just found out, oh, well, we both like to talk on the phone, I would have set a precedent for you. Okay, well, we both gonna answer the phone during the day because that's when business hours are open. And then you would have failed at that. Why? Because though we have a commonality in answering the phones, we have a difference in when we work best, you at night, me at the day. And if I didn't explore what that difference was, I then could not assign you or work with you or collaborate with you so that our business would be better and then fully covered. And I would have got mad at you for falling asleep during the day and not answering the phone and not being the best. And I would have said, hey, this ain't working out because you're not a good team player. Without simply just saying, hey, let me find out what is different about how we do this. Okay. Now I'm able to accentuate your difference and then make it a plus instead of a negative.
Well, thank you very, very much. Thank you. So, Mr. A.B. Collins, thank you very much. He said you don't build a team when there is a battle. You build a team before the battle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much. So, this is one very, the question is, tell us about one very difficult situation you have encountered and how you solve it.
Say it again.
Tell us about one difficult situation you encountered or you have encountered and how you solve it.
One difficult situation I have encountered and how I solved it. It's a gazillion difficult situations, and I don't know if I solved them well. Yeah. So the biggest difficult situation that I had was me. I was my biggest difficult situation. I needed solving. I was in leadership and I had a lot of rough edges. I had a lot of things, a lot of ideas, a lot of motives, a lot of intentions, a lot of, characteristics that just were not good for leadership. And, and it was leading me down a path to be resented and then ultimately to leave a legacy of not being a great leader and to losing the ability to lead and to lead people.
Merci beaucoup, la famille. Merci beaucoup, tout le monde qui regarde. So you are welcome back again, Doctor. Do you hear me, Doctor?
Huh?
Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Yes.
Sorry. So you are welcome once again. And the question was one difficult situation you've encountered and how you solved it.
Yeah.
Rhoda, je te vois.
Yeah. So that situation again was me. You know, I was the situation that was difficult, and I needed to be corrected, and I had to. Um, what I was saying is, before I could fix it, I had to face it. I had to face what the real problem was, and the real problem was me. And a lot of times we project on to other people our deficiencies, and we take a lot of time examining other people instead of examining ourselves to say how was I the culprit in this situation? What did I do to contribute to this deteriorating or this going down or this not working? What? And so when I did that, and when I did self-reflection and introspection, I was able to say, you know what, these are the things that I gotta change, and I gotta change them not just because of this position, but I gotta change them because they're not the best human characteristics and human traits. And in order to really connect with people, I have to do certain different things. And so I went on a path to really, I wrote it down, and I wrote down where my deficiencies were. I wrote down, hey, this is a problem. Hey, this is a problem. Hey, and then I wrote a solution to every problem. And I made sure that I didn't focus it on anybody but me. I made sure that it was about me, that I wasn't, attributing something to somebody else or saying it is their problem. It was me. And so when I did that, I was able to find resolution and resolve, and able to see the areas that I need to fix and work on. And that's
All
what happened.
right. Thank you very much. So David Sosa from Sierra Leone, he says that he loves you very much. And yes, like the acapella, somebody requested for acapella. Definitely we will get there. But I would like to know, who is your favorite artist?
My favorite artist, oh man, I don't know if I have a favorite. I like so many. I like people who are genuine.
Your
I
top five,
love
your top two.
my top. I don't know if I have a. It's hard. Um, but because I appreciate people for so many different things. Um, yeah, I love everybody.
All right.
I love everybody.
Your favorite gospel music, or your favorite music. Is
My
that
favorite music, I love gospel music. I think, it is definitely my default. I listen to all types of music, but definitely I love gospel music because um, it is the only music that consistently talks great about someone that I love. And because of my love, being in love with Jesus and my love for the Savior, gospel music is the only type of music that is dedicated toward showing love, toward or speaking of or bragging on or complimenting God. And so that's, yeah.
how many albums do you have?
I have one.
All right. All right.
I'm working on it. I used to be working on an album, but I'm gonna just put music out.
Mm, all right. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So maybe it's time for the a cappella that our brother just requested.
Uh,
I know you have a lot of songs, a lot, but let me see which one you like to
oh,
sing
I
for
don't
us.
know if I ever had an acapella request before. Oh man, I don't even know. Oh, uh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. I just want to thank you, Lord, because you've been so good. You have been so good. Oh, you've been so good. And I just want to thank you, Lord. You've made a way. You have made a way. You made a way. And I just want to thank. Oh, I just got to thank. Oh, I just want to thank you, Lord.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I mean, I think
Bless you, man.
I have to come for, voice training and all that to be able to
I don't know about that. Well, bless you.
yeah.
I've appreciated this time. And don't forget, I'm waiting to come to the UK and France.
Of course, of course. I will send you, I'll send you everything that I'm supposed to, and we will work on the invitation to France. It's no big deal. I can work on that. So maybe we will find ourselves very soon. We will see ourselves in person very, very soon. He said, "Can you
Amen.
walk us through the walls on the shelf?"
uh, there's nothing. So this is just it's not a lot. The only one I'll talk about. This is I just got this. This is just a plaque of my when I got my doctorate.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, but everything else is just this is the only thing that matters.
All right.
This is what matters
All
right
right.
there. That's all it matters.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. I think we have a lot to talk about, but I think
Yeah,
we will reserve the rest for some other
yeah.
time. I think we will be
Thank you.
talking over and over. So, what are your last words? I was about to ask you for who is your mentor, but you already spoke about mentorship and you told us that it's
Hmm.
Bishop T.D. Jakes. So, I don't want to go there anymore. So, your last
Hmm.
words. And may God richly bless you, man. You have been a
Yeah, thank you,
blessing.
man. My last words are to everybody on here, um, man, so, God has given us the greatest gift. Jesus Christ, we know, is that gift, but he's also given us another gift that I don't think that we use to the fullest, and that gift is life. That is the present. That is the present from the Father. Every day that we wake up, he gives us the gift of life, of breath. And though it's probably the most precious and valuable gift, I think it's the biggest gift that we don't value as much as we should. And so I want to encourage everybody that if you've been given the gift of life, to use it, open it up and value it and treasure it and thank the Creator for offering you that gift. And remember that gift comes without knowing when will it expire or when you will see it again. It is not promised to be given every day, but every day you get it, open it up and use it because it is yours, the gift of life. I speak life to you. Bless you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. And may God
All
richly
right.
bless you, you and your family and
Likewise, man.
everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So have a
All right,
wonderful
man.
evening and goodbye. Thank you.
You do this thing.
Yeah. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow with somebody else, a comfort colleague. But above all, I have an announcement. If God willing, next week we will have in our midst Joe Metal, who will be on this platform. So keep it, write it somewhere that this week we are speaking to Joe Metal on this show right here. So you can invite a friend, talk to a friend, and invite everybody. And let us all come and ask questions, interact with Joe Metal, and speak to him. Thank you all very much. Madam Shablov, thank you very much. May God richly bless you. Nick and Larry, may God bless you. Laurent, may God bless you. If you mix anything, David from Sierra Leone, may God richly bless you. If you mix anything from this interview, you can go to our YouTube page and watch everything live. We have our interviews from pastors to musicians and to everybody. Go to our YouTube page. It's IK Button. Watch our interviews and stay blessed. Stay blessed. Stay safe. Good night. Good night. Good evening to you all. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you very much. Goodbye.